What is up, everyone, and welcome back to our gaming podcast, Hot Fixes and Hot Takes, where we cover everything happening in the world of gaming. This is episode 15 here. We are recording this on August 19th, and this episode will break down all of the latest news and information and leaks and stuff from the previous 3 weeks, since we've taken a little bit of time off. And that will include massive stories such as all of the huge leaks, gameplay leaks, and more coming out for GTA 6.
Halo campaign Evolved is finally out. Do we think it's actually good or was this one a miss? We will let you know.
And of course, many, many more stories here throughout the episode. Before we get into it, just a little bit of housekeeping. As always, guys, we had to cut some stories out. We did take a couple weeks off. Like we always say, life takes precedence. Sometimes life gets in the way. So we just try to break down some of the more pertinent stories. So, we're not going to cover a little, funny tweet that we saw and give our thoughts on it or something like that. We'll try to cover some big stories. So if there's anything you feel that we missed, let us know down in the comment section. We can talk to you in the comment section or maybe feature it on next week's episode if we have some time there. So just wanted to get that out of the way. I also wanted to say that we've been kicking around the idea of possibly streaming these live to Twitch or live to YouTube before we go ahead with posting them the next couple of days. So if you're interested in that, if that's something you would like to see and watch live as we record these, definitely let us know in the comment section. And we'll look into to getting that going for you guys. With all that out of the way, though, let's move right into our first section that we do every week here with the weekly reset, where we cover all of the weekly content updates and new seasonal content, stuff like that, for all of our favorite games. So starting out, like we always like to do here, Forza Horizon 6 actually has a brand new series. Again, it's been a couple weeks since our last episode, so now we are in a whole new series, which is essentially like a whole new season. You can think of it as of content there. And basically there's 4 new cars again. They're kind of going down the route of 4 new, 4 recycled, unfortunately, and then additionally another like 1 new and 1 recycled for the overall reward. So a total of 5 new vehicles. Now, Ferg and I had talked already off stream yesterday whenever we went through some of the weekly content. This is not that good of rewards. And I'll get your thoughts because I want to hear your thoughts on it as a little less of a car guy, more of like a, coming from a video game standpoint, of if you enjoy it. But first off, we get the Exosport. I'm the one having trouble pronouncing today.
Buddy.
I'm having issues, but that's what you get for this week during the summer. Again, we're just going to cover the new cars coming out. Next week, we get the 2024 Chevrolet Camaro ZL1, which, in case you're wondering, yes, it is almost identical to the 2017 Camaro ZL1 that's already in the game. Just has a different rear end, different taillights. That's about it. So we'll get into that in a second. For the week after the winter season, we get the 1974 Toyota Celica GT. And then the final week of this series, we get the 1988 Mitsubishi Starion. So nothing too exciting there. The overall reward is the 1970 Honda N600. Now, my take, this is probably the most lackluster roster of series rewards ever. And if not for the fact that I was a car collector and I'm trying to get like every car in the game, I would have almost no incentive to play this. You know me, I own a Camaro. I love Camaros. They're my favorite cars. The Camaro in this doesn't even really excite me because, again, it's the same as the 2017. It just has a different like rear bumper, slightly different rear bumper, and then different taillights. So if you're really, really pressed about the taillights, this is really good for you. And I think this one may be like it comes with a 10-speed automatic by default, but again, you can swap out any transition or transmission in the game for like 2,000 credits or something. So the transmission really does not matter, being different. So yeah, this to me is just super lackluster. I know some of these are like called classic cars that people look forward to, but this just does nothing for me. How about you?
Nah, it doesn't do anything for me either. Like you said, coming into it from like I'm not a huge car guy. Um, the only reason why I'm playing is for those flashier vehicles, those supercars, and especially coming off the Ferrari and Italians exotic season. I feel like this one is definitely one that I'm probably not going to play too much. Take a little break from the game, and come back and look at what the next series is going to be.
Yeah, I mean, the last couple of seasons I've just ran without like get the bare minimum, get the 20 points and get out of there. I actually knocked that out like yesterday. I still haven't done the championships. I want to do the championships still. But I found ways to get 20 points regardless, just to get that stupid EXO car. It's literally just a series of pipes and a V8 engine. Um, and yeah, it's just kind of lackluster season. I was really hoping they would be adding like new races and stuff like that. We're already 3 or 4 seasons in now, series is in now, and it's just super lackluster. So, yeah, not really feeling it from Forza. This game has not grabbed has not grabbed me. It's been, you can tell it's been 3 weeks, right? It has not grabbed me like the last couple of games, and I think overall it's objectively a very great game. We talked about that, but just there's been some kind of bland corners that we've kind of noticed over the last couple months, and these postseason launches have not rectified that like at all.
See, I think it's funny you say that because on the flip side, I think it's the Forza that I played the most by far.
Yeah.
So I wonder if that's just a result of how long it's been since the last Forza Horizon, or if I just like the setting, the vehicles, and the way the campaign is set up in terms of getting your wristbands and leveling up that way. Um, but I think we are starting to hit that kind of lull until DLC is announced and it's coming, or they come out with a new series that maybe adds some more races, adds a little bit more than the standard series format that they've had the last 4 times now.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm hoping maybe, and we'll talk about this later. Maybe during Gamescom, Xbox maybe talks about a DLC or something for this. That's really what I'm looking forward to. But again, I'm still enjoying hopping in, and definitely, like you and I playing together, it makes it 10 times more fun, at least from my perspective. Doing the trials, doing the seasonal championships together, and all that stuff. Still really fun. Still making progress on the game and the car collection, but yeah, just needs a little bit more. But yeah, so that kind of ramps it up for Forza Horizon 6. The other game that we wanted to touch base on with some content coming out is Call of Duty Season 5 Reloaded, which will be dropping tomorrow as of the taping of this episode here. And that brings with it the final zombies map in the Black Ops 7, kind of life cycle here. I'm super excited for this. I've looked at some of the, like the intro cinematic they showed off. It looks really cool. It doesn't look as maybe interesting and reminiscent and stuff like that I thought it would be. I thought it would be closer to Revelations with like, floating versions of other maps and stuff, but doesn't seem that way. But either way, it looks fun. It looks like something I can't wait to dive into, possibly tomorrow night. And yeah, obviously there will be some maps coming. Did you see? Usually we don't really talk too much about multiplayer here. Did you see the pinball map they're bringing?
I did, I did. Um, I know we kind of moan and complain about COD and the way it's set up right now with the Nicki Minaj skins, but I do think the pinball being shrunken down into a pinball machine for I believe it's just 2v2, kind of that gunfight mode, um, looks pretty cool. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, I see. I'm of the camp that like I wish the skins would stay, fairly decent throughout. But like go crazy on the maps. Like that's where you should go crazy. Like if season 6 every year is like you playing inside of a pinball machine, or you like fighting on like a monster truck, like arena as the monster trucks are going, or something crazy stupid like that. Like that's where your creativity and flashiness should go, because no one's ever really worried about the maps. If anything, people have complained about maps being too drab and boring and ugly, and this is just a city block type maps. So that's where I think you should go crazy, and people won't really, worry too much. But the skins and the gun skins, are a different story. But yeah, so I'm excited to do that, and excited to maybe jump into multiplayer, hopefully play that map, because I think that'd be really fun.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good point. I haven't thought of it like that. Take that craziness away from the characters and the guns, but this may be a divisive episode. I actually enjoy that Rex and Furnace isn't going to be, similar to Revelations in the sense of bringing back previous maps or pulling in sections from maps or settings that we've already been to. I like the fact that it's its own unique map once again. I think that's why zombies has been so strong this season, or this game, I should say. While we have some influence from previous maps and kind of reimaginings, quote unquote, um, each map has been pretty darn unique, minus Nuketown, and that's why I've liked them all. So I'm looking forward to this. Gonna probably jump in tomorrow to check it out and see how it goes.
Yeah, and I guess to your point as well, we did already have kind of a Revelations type map with Shadow of the Damned, the very first map, because that was all like farm and ascension and stuff like that. So I guess technically we already got that. Having another one may be overkill. So I think you're onto something there. We'll have to jump in and see how it plays because, like you said, the last two they have, I mean, out of the park. Out of the ballpark entirely. Just absolutely crushed it. So looking forward to that, and that will be coming out tomorrow again, along with probably a couple guns, couple multiplayer maps, stuff like that. We won't cover that all here. Not enough time. We gotta we gotta rip through a lot of news this week. So yeah, that about wraps it up for the weekly reset. As always, if there's a game you would like us to kind of cover here on the podcast during our weekly reset, let us know and we can look up all the updates. If there's new seasonal content coming out, we can get that going for you guys. So next up we have our release radar, where we talk about all the games that are coming out, all the games maybe that have come out since last episode that are notable, that are of interest to us and of interest to you guys as well. Ferg, do you want to run us through some of the games that are coming out?
Yeah, we'll do. I think we need to change the names of our sections. The weekly we set and the Release radar. We're gonna get caught up on those soon. First one that I added here is Mortal Shell coming out on the 20th. As of recording, that's tomorrow. Um, Another Souls-like game. I know that has a pretty big following, and I believe the early reception has been pretty strong for this one. So wanted to add Mortal Shell to the radar. One here that is just the name of it is completely goofy. It's Dwarf, a pinball roguelite. The only reason why this caught my attention was the name and thinking of the gameplay being similar to that of Balatro,
Oh yeah.
the card roguelike deck builder that pretty much swept the gaming industry when it came out, and it still is. It's got a huge following. I can imagine this is going to be similar to that. I feel like that game kind of started the poker casino game roguelike kind of series and games like that. So um, may check this one out. I haven't seen anything about it. I just saw it was on a release calendar, so gonna bring that one up just because it's pretty strange, pretty goofy. And then finally on the 25th, Aliens Fireteam Elite 2, going to be that Left 4 Dead style survival shooter in the Aliens setting. I know Aliens Fireteam Elite 1 had a little bit of a cult following, and I think throughout updates with that game's span, it really turned into a pretty good game. So I know there's a lot of excitement around this sequel coming out on the 25th as well.
Awesome. Yeah, and I mean, yeah, there's just kind of a lull of like big ticket games coming out. Obviously, we have a bunch coming out in September and October, and then obviously the big whopper in November with GTA. But yeah, there's
You
just
mean
kind of a
Barbie?
lull. What's that?
You mean Barbie
Oh well, yeah, Barbie. I mean, we're all going to be playing Barbie
competing
if we have
against
some time.
GTA?
Oh man, it's the only game that has enough balls to go up against GTA, and it will win. Um, but yeah, I
Barbie
mean,
Rewind, baby.
what's that?
Barbie Barbie Rewind. I'm here for it.
Oh no, not the nostalgia bait, even on Barbie. Oh god, isn't no franchise is safe at this point. Yeah, I mean, apart from me just ripping through my Steam release radar, this Not even any survival crafters, I'm sure. Yeah, no, there's like no big ticket games coming out. So yeah, they pretty short section, and we can kind of move along there. But rest assured, in the next couple months, we're gonna have some absolutely massive games to talk about on that release radar. So now we can move on to this week in gaming, where we break down all of the news headlines, all of the big stories that have happened since our last episode. Once again, this is the meat and potatoes of the podcast, where we like to break down all these news stories, also give our thoughts and a more kind of back and forth, lighthearted discussion. We're not just going to read out the headlines and move on type stuff. So first up, we got a bunch of news and a bunch of things happening around the GTA 6 universe. Obviously, the game is getting closer and closer to release. I think, like as of last week, we were now finally in the double digits. After 13 years, we are finally double digits days away from launch, assuming they don't delay it for some unforeseen reason. The first up that I wanted to talk about before we talk about anything else, they unveiled that there is going to be, people were waiting on trailer 3, right? We talked about this, I think, even as far back as like 2 or 3 episodes ago. People have been wanting that next trailer. We talked about like, why have they done anything? They finally came out and said, not only are you getting a trailer, you are getting a Netflix special. So they are basically doing a, like, I don't even know how to bill it. They're doing like a huge reveal type thing on Netflix next Thursday, August 27th. It'll go live on Netflix, what, at like 1 p.m. or something like that. And then it'll go live on YouTube like 8 hours later, in the late evening. So I wanted to get our thoughts on this. Me personally, I literally laughed out loud at work. Like I was, in between, I was waiting for something to finish patching up on the computer, and I was scrolling Twitter and I saw that come up and I audibly laughed. It was so wild, such a weird concept to me. I physically laughed. What was your first reaction?
We are in the corporate dystopia. Yeah, same thing. I mean, at the end of the day, it's really not a huge deal. They're trying to hype up GTA as much as they can, um, but I don't really think Netflix is the place to do it, nor they need to do it. I think they can get enough people to tune in, um, as they have already on the initial reveal. I don't even know what the view count is on YouTube for their initial reveal for it. But yeah, just strange. It's not a huge deal though. It is what it is. Um, we're gonna get that info, like you said, 8 hours later everywhere else. But it is a little bit scummy that they're blocking it on Netflix, and probably going to get a massive uptick in subscribers just to tune into the reveal first, which is crazy to think about. But
Yeah, and this issue isn't just exclusive to this now, being GTA 6. Like the sports fans, myself included, have been really irked by Netflix weaseling its way into a bunch of high profile like sport events as well. I know like one of the Steeler games last year we couldn't watch because it was like on Netflix, and the Pirates have been on Netflix like once or twice for weird things. The Home Run Derby was on Netflix. The Field of Dreams game that they totally killed all aura for with like the score bug and stuff was on Netflix. I think if Netflix is going to go down this route of like trying to grab these big ticket items, of trying to reach out to game companies to do stuff like, who's next, the Game Awards, I don't know. They need to have a account tier that's just, you make a free account, you see ads, and that's how they make their money. Because locking it behind a paywall is where I think it's scummy. I can go to YouTube. All I have to do is make an account, or if I have a Google account, just sign in with the Google, Gmail I already have, and log in and watch something. No matter what, yeah, I get ads. They get, their 5 cents from me watching ads. That's great. But I don't have to do anything else. These are big ticket items that you are expected to start paying, even if you just get 1 month subscription to watch this and then you're done, you have to fork over, what is it? The cheapest subscription is like $8, $10 for like their ad supported package or whatever. Like it's still a lot of money. And I think that's where it becomes scummy and stupid. If Netflix had a live event tier of account where you just make an account, you get ads, maybe you have to watch pre-roll and post-roll ads as well to beef up that revenue. But you don't need to pay anything. You don't need a credit card on file. It's just like a YouTube account. But all you can watch is these marquee live events like the GTA, the Field of Dreams game, the Home Run Derby, the Christmas Day Sealer game, whatever the case may be. That to me would be a lot less scummy. I wouldn't have a problem with it because they still get their money
Yeah,
from me. I don't have to jump through any monetary hoops, and I get to watch it just the way I have for years and years.
yeah,
You know,
yeah. I mean, aside from like the scumminess of it and the we're revealing games on Netflix now, like where are we going? Part of me also feels and slightly thinks, hey, maybe this is Rockstar's first kind of move into advertising that this game is going to be more than a game. I think a lot of big streamers, a lot of insiders have claimed that GTA 6 is going to kind of break the industry. They're going to do something in game that people are going to be able to retire their jobs from. Is there any merit to those rumors or those speculations? Not really, but is this Rockstar's first move at teasing and like giving it away that hey, we're building a game that's going to be more than a game, and look at what we're doing. We're revealing it on a streaming platform.
yeah, I think part of it is they know what they have, right? They know. I mean, we've seen this with a lot of things. People act like this, when they have something big on their hands, they know it, and they know that people are going to want to see it, and so they're trying to milk everything they can out of the fact that like you don't release a GTA every year, like this is a big event. They want to make the most out of it. They're going to milk it for everything. If they could sell, whatever they're going to be able to do because they know it's GTA and they can. Like one of my survival crafting games on Steam couldn't pull stuff like that. If they, like said, "Hey, come watch, Enshrouded's 1.0 unveiling on Netflix," like 3 people would watch, right? But they know they're GTA. So it's this massive, bigger than life, bigger than just the gaming, like you said, an industry shattering event. So they know they can. I don't think any other game bar maybe Call of Duty could get away with something like this. So I don't think it'll become the norm. Like I said, I don't think, Enshrouded and, the next Pokemon game even could probably not even get away with this. You know, I just think this is GTA being like, we know what we got. You're going to come watch it anyways. So here it is. To which I can kind of respect that. Like, what are you going to, it's GTA, man.
Yeah, I mean, similar to the $100 versus $80 version debate. It's
Yeah.
GTA. They know what they have clearly in one of our bullet points. It's working.
Yeah.
They know people are gonna just go all in for it.
Yeah, and kind of ahead of this whole reveal, right? Some people were mad about it. And I saw a couple of things then of like, I hope somebody leaks your entire thing before it comes out, just in spite of that announcement. Ironically enough, a leaker account on Twitter, we won't, we'll try to stay in Rockstar's good graces. We're not going to, give any names or links to anything, but a leaker on Twitter has actually gone through and just started posting gameplay, like 2 minute, 3 minute sections of gameplay. They claim that they have the stuff that will be coming to Netflix and that they're going to unveil it. I haven't seen hide nor hair of that yet, but yeah, so they claim they have that and they're going to release that. They're just straight up leaking, and they get taken down, the account gets removed. This guy, they're going to be power washing this guy off the road once the Rockstar lawyers are done with him. It's going to be bad. Like, I'm scared for him, but at the same
Yeah,
time,
yeah,
we get to see gameplay.
yeah. I mean, yeah. This guy's gonna be in a world of hurt when he's found, or gal. You never
Yeah.
know. Um, but yeah, I think the main kind of alarm that set everybody off to these was yeah, like another AI video. You took gameplay of a different game and threw it in AI somehow and said, shoot out some new gameplay, and you know it started getting taken down. It started getting striked,
Mm-hmm.
and that set the alarm off that people were like, oh, this is the real deal. And like you said, like obviously want to stay in good graces and not get striked ourselves. Not that anybody from Rockstar would be listening, but um, the two clips that I've seen, um, it looks clean. It looks to me what you would expect for a new Grand Theft Auto game. Like graphic fidelity, in my opinion, was pretty nuts. Knowing that, if that is the gameplay that we're going to be seeing and playing on a base Series X and a base PS5, um, to me it is pretty crazy. I know a lot of people are responding to those clips like, "Oh, we waited 13 years for this. Are you kidding me? It looks exactly like GTA 5," which are clearly just rage
Yeah.
baiting. There is a vast distinction between the two, and I think you can see that quality jump for sure. And this is going to be a next gen game for sure.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I was like looking like super close to see if I could see the car damage, because that's what I really wish they'd bring it back, like the GTA 4, because that like made,
Yeah, GTA 4 was prime.
yeah, like that, like having your car get absolutely totaled and like you driving around like this crumpled mess like during a police chase, and like your car dying out because of that. That was so much better in GTA 5, where they're like your bumper's kind of crumpled, hee hee. Like it, and the like floaty physics of it and stuff as well. Like, oh man, it made it feel, I guess you'd say, realistic. Like it added to the role play and the immersion of it.
Authentic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So I was like kind of keeping an eagle eye out for that. Didn't seem to go one way or another. But yeah, no, it looks good, and I can't wait for next week to see it for real. Hopefully, but these leaks have been pretty good. I think they've done more help to the game's overall like public perception than hurt. It looks good, and he hasn't spoiled any like like story spoilers. It's been just like, hey, driving around, I wrecked into a UPS truck and I beat a guy up, like, which is the moment to moment stuff that we've all been looking for. So super, wonder if he's actually going to keep doing this. Like I said, I wonder what his fate will be, or her fate. But regardless, yeah, that's been just going around like crazy. Um, Everyone seems to be biting on that, and I have seen the AI ones that you're talking about. That I was like, oh, is this another leak? And then halfway through, like, there's a guy like standing on. You could tell it's AI. Like the AI doesn't know what it's doing. I'm like, oh, come on, like, but yeah, no, this guy's legit. And yeah, I'm super excited to play it if it looks that way. But um, yeah, and apparently a lot of people are super excited to play it, so much so that they unveiled that substantially more people have pre-ordered the $100 version as opposed to the $80 version, which we kind of called out on the podcast. We knew would happen. I think it sets a horrible precedent, but I'm a hypocrite for saying that because I will be buying the $100 version.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I hope that precedent isn't set because, like we continue to say, it's GTA. Only GTA can pull that. But I would not put it past an EA or Ubisoft or 2K to come out and be like, oh, by the way, NBA 2K27, we had to increase the base game because of tariffs. So it's $100.
Yeah,
Something like that. Hopefully we don't see that. But yeah, like you said, we would not be surprised if this was the case, and it very much is the case.
yeah. I mean, people want all the gameplay they can get, all the shops they can get. Like you said, for some people, this might be the only game they buy for the next 2 or 3 years. So they're like, screw it, I'll pay $20 extra. So yeah, I just don't want to see a ripple effect down the stream of like suddenly, every game that thinks it's kind of cool is going to charge 100. I don't think it's going to work out. I think people are, like if Madden 28 tries to come out at $100, people are going to go and not buy it. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't have, even big things like that still don't have the power that GTA does. So, but yeah, I mean, overall, let us know, if you've seen the leaks, let us know what you think. I've been kind of impressed with it. Obviously, it hasn't been like a huge slice of life from the game. It's just been kind of some free roam antics and stuff. But I think so far it looks really good and looks authentic. Like it feels like a real living world. So, yeah, that about wraps it up for that. Moving on, this is going to be your section. I'm going to let you take hold of this because I have not played it yet. but you have. Why don't you give us a rundown on your thoughts of the Gears of War beta?
Yeah. First point I have here in the script is Gears is back. I had an absolute blast playing the beta. Both the versus mode, obviously the multiplayer mode in Gears, and the new Horde mode. Not as impressed as I thought I would be, but also know that it was a beta. It was a very small slice of that full mode, and what's to come there. I think in my experience, I have noted that the gameplay felt really smooth and responsive for me. That was me personally. I know some people have had, some complaints about input lag and some delays in um, movement and latency. So I didn't experience any of that. Fortunately, everything felt smooth, super responsive. The new movement seemed to have a really good balance between feeling heavy and grounded in that gears sliding into cover, rolling out of cover movement, but also had a good amount of speed in it too. That if you were sliding into cover and then wanted to hop over cover and roll out of that cover that you just hopped over to get away from fire, it was still done in a way that you had some speed and momentum there, which I thought felt really good. I think some of the older gearheads would disagree, but I like the way they took movement. I really like the direction they took it with this new one. Another thing I have noted was there were moments where there were people kind of quote unquote speed boosting with the movement, wall bouncing from cover to cover. Um, but when they made a bad wall bounce or they made a bad roll, you could really punish their timing with it, and get off a free kill. So I think the movement is really balanced in a way too that if you stand there and watch somebody slide canceling like COD, you're gonna get lasered in COD. Like end of story. Where in Gears, there were multiple moments where I took my hand off my keyboard and stopped moving and just tracked the guy with my mouse and got a free kill because he was trying to do way too much, and that momentum like spamming, he was getting punished for it. So I think they found a really good balance with it too. So I'm super pumped for it. I think this is going to be a knockout game. I can't wait for October for the full release.
Yeah, that was actually going to be. I'm glad you touched on it because that was going to be my main question. Is I know we talked about it during the reveal of like, are people going to spam like there's that video of that guy that was like rolling back and forth, and we were like, oh god, is this going to be TikTok kid movement? Um, so it's good to hear that there's counters to it and that it's not like a get out of jail free card. So I'm glad to hear that. You said you played? Did you play Horde at all, or just the multiplayer?
Yeah, I played a few matches of Horde. The maps were huge. I didn't run into another team while playing it, which I know was one of the concerns and one of the complaints was it was awesome to be thrown into this huge map, but maybe some of the objective placements were a little bit too far away where you weren't really running into that second or third quad group, and really getting that 4 to 8 to 12 people horde mode moment that I think they're marketing. So maybe if they tweak some of those objective locations, you may be able to like squeeze into another squad and kind of do a 2-for-1 objective. And I was also not getting great performance in the horde mode. Obviously, it's a beta, so I'm hoping
Yeah.
that they're still working through some of those little things. But I was getting some serious frame drops, and there was some lag in that mode, which obviously is going to make it a little bit less enjoyable. But again, it's a beta, so it was fun. The moment to moment gameplay was fun. Upgrading your class and working to the end to take down that boss and evac. Um, but I think it's really going to click on the full experience, and maybe if they tweak some minor things to really get that full 12-man squad rolling, in these matches.
Yeah, I think any of those game modes where they have like it's like PVE, but like there's multiple different teams, like even like something like DMZ to a certain extent, like you have to have something on the map that brings everybody together. Otherwise, everyone's just playing Horde in, kind of loosely together. You know what I mean? They're playing in the same house, but they're not hanging out in the same room, so to speak. So yeah, that I hope they clear that up. I know that if I do get it with you guys, a couple of our other friends are talking about getting it. If I do get it with you guys, it'll probably mainly be Horde that I play with you. So I'm hoping that they tighten that up. I probably won't be playing multiplayer. Maybe the story, to see if it hooks me and gets me into the franchise. But yeah, definitely Horde is always something I'm down to try. So hopefully that pans out a little bit better. Do you think you're more likely to, or more pumped? You're going to buy the game or get the game regardless, I guess. So are you more pumped about the game after having played the
Yeah.
beta? Or yeah,
Yeah, I am for sure, for sure. Obviously having Pass, spending that extra amount for the Ultimate Edition or whatever they're calling it to get that early access was on the table, but um, yeah, this beta definitely solidified that it's gonna be a purchase. It's gonna be one that I'm probably gonna grind up until GTA. Um, Obviously, COD will be coming out, and I'll put some time into that, but I'm feeling like I'm gonna main Gears for a while after it drops.
awesome. Well, there you have it, folks. Yeah, the beta seemed to go over pretty well from what I read as well across the internet. Nobody was really, angry or upset about it. So I think it's shaping up to be a really good release for Microsoft. Definitely the Gears devs as well. We will have a review here whenever the game drops. Probably headed by Ferg, since I know he'll be jumping into that. So yeah, we'll get you guys our thoughts on that when it releases.
Here's my
Um,
early preview. 10 out of 10.
uh-oh. He's giving it a 10 already. You better hold. You better not. It better not launch
Jinx it.
horribly, or you're. Yeah, I
Yeah.
was gonna say. You can't. You can't have that on your conscience. But yeah. So there you have it. Seems like the beta went well. That will be coming out. When does that release again? Is that in October?
Uh, yeah, early October. I believe October 8th is that early access.
Okay.
But I'd have to double check that.
Yeah. So if you want to pony up a little bit extra money, play a couple days earlier, as always. So then the next item here on our list as well. This is another one I wasn't even aware of. Do you want to go over the new Steam frame leaks?
Yeah, we'll do. We'll do. Full release for Gears, though, October 6th. Early access is
Oh, okay.
October 1st. So
Okay.
a little bit
Awesome.
earlier than what I thought. Yeah, moving into the Steam frame. So it looked like there have been some unboxing videos and kind of early setup videos that have been leaking online that are pretty fleshed out. So it seems like the Steam frame release could be inbound soon. If you haven't heard, Steam Frame is their kind of next gen VR headset, similar to the Steam Deck that came out, and then the Steam Box. Why can't I think of
Steam
the
Machine.
console? Steam Machine that recently just came out. They kind of came out with a full line of Steam Machine, new controller, and then the Steam Frame, which is their VR headset. It looks to be pretty high tech from what I remember in terms of what it can output, and then connecting to your PC setup to kind of unlock that extra power from your PC. But it looks like there is going to be some more info on this coming out soon with these unboxing videos and kind of setup videos that are leaking right now.
Awesome. No, what they need to do is sync it so that you can sync your save for Skyrim, so I can just get Skyrim VR, but not have to undo the 300 hours I put into my latest save. Uh,
Bingo.
that would be the. I would I would just
Bingo.
sit here like this and listen to the soundtrack for like 18 hours
Is
straight,
that
not
what you would be
moving.
doing with a VR headset?
Yes. If anyone asks, yes. But literally just sitting, in the fields outside Whiterun, listening to Secunda on repeat as the night skies above me, just you know, uh,
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
I've,
good
I've
news for you. Good news for you. If the Steam Machine is any indication, this one may only be $7,000. So
Great, I'll get another mortgage. Um, what's another mortgage, right? Yeah, every time like a new VR headset comes out, I always tell myself, "Oh, I'm gonna get that." There's so many things I could do, and then I never end up because without fail, like I feel like game devs just haven't taken enough advantage of it. I don't know if like the hardware isn't quite there yet, or if the user base is just not there. Because I think we could have had some real bangers, and we just have not. Apart from like people really love the Bethesda games in VR and like Phasmophobia and games like that in VR. But yeah, nothing too major. No like AAA titles that blow you away in VR, which is kind of weird. It was a fad that came and went and is just kind of hanging on by a thread. Um, but yeah, we'll definitely cover more news on that as it comes out once we get actual confirmation and details and prices, which as Ferg said, probably the cost of a small family sedan. As we get them. So next up, moving on. Now we have started to group this up since we have several stories each week, kind of pertaining to each of them. We've kind of grouped them up. So we have a separate section for all the Sony news and then Xbox news as well, because they can't seem to stay out of the headlines, either of them, for good or bad reasons, every single week. So we usually have several stories, so we want to group them together so that we have everything in one place and get you guys all the information. So the first story for Sony this time around, they've actually, and who could have seen this coming, pushed back against everyone's backlash concerning their end of production for discs. And I'm going to read out this quote in its entirety because I feel like you need to hear it all to really get angry enough about it. A Sony exec said, "At this point in time, we are not seeing any impact on our business. As of now, a large part is already digitized, and therefore, as a result, the discontinuation of discs, we don't see that there will be any negative impact on our business. However, as I already said, the users, the player base have attachments and we have to think about how to respond to those feedbacks. They have attachments. What an arrogant way to say that, man. They have attachments. Oh, I have attachments to being able to play a game I bought after you turn the servers off, and we'll get to that in a second. I just thought that was such an arrogant quote. Like I said, I had to read it in its entirety. Usually we paraphrase these or just put it as one line in our outline of the script and stuff. But I wanted to copy because it just got me so mad a couple weeks ago when I read it. Um, again, they're missing the point. They're kind of taking the stance of we don't care. We're gonna make all of our money anyways. I don't care what you think of your attachments. It's just so arrogant, and I really hope it bites them in the rear end there.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll have somebody tow away one of Sony execs' yacht and claim that they didn't really actually own it when they bought it, and we'll see what they think of their attachments. Yeah, super super backhanded, like holier than thou um, comment on this. I think it's going to keep digging their grave deeper and deeper. This is certainly not going to put Sony under, but I think their negative reception is just going to keep increasing the more arrogance that comes out like this. I don't think it's a good look. They could have quoted this as, we see this as the future. We understand that things may be difficult and players may be, losing doing things and playing games the ways they used to, and we understand that may be upsetting, but they're basically saying like get over it, and I don't think that's the way to go.
Yeah, and it kind of to me, and you know me, I never put on a tinfoil hat, but to me, everyone's talking about this being some big ploy to fix the resale market, and all sales come through Sony now. You can't just go to your friend or to eBay or to GameStop and buy one of their games 3 years later for $20 off the shelf. You have to buy through them at the price that they dictate all of the time. And I think if this wasn't the case, and they were, they had other reasons, they could have come out and said that and been like, no, you know what, we'll figure something else out. It's costing us too much money to physically print CDs. CDs are starting to get deprecated in our society anyways. We'll think of something such that you retain your rights, such that you can buy and resell. And, we hear your concerns. We'll figure something out for you guys. But they haven't done any of that. And that, if anything, just proves that they are guilty to a certain degree of what they're being accused of, that you know, that they are worried about cornering the market for themselves, that they are worried about resale, that they are, willing to rug pull you at the latest notice, pull a server offline. Now you don't own the game or the movie or the TV show or whatever it is that you bought digitally. They're just saying, tough, deal with it. And the old "you will own nothing and you will like it" mantra that everybody says about really anything in the economy nowadays. And that to me is the most worrying part, because if they did come out and they were like, "Listen, guys, I don't freak out. We will get you maybe a code or a code system or something like that that you can resell, and we'll figure something out. It won't be CDs. We're not going to waste our time with CDs anymore." And I would understand. It makes sense. The games are 800 million gigabytes anyways. They're not going to fit on a you know 30 megabyte CD, but give us a solution. Let us know that you're going to give a replacement. Otherwise, you have to assume the worst. And that's really what I was irked about. Now they did go on to say, like, or report in their earnings report and everything. Digital makes up 1.2 billion of their sales, whereas physical was only 128 million. So that's the data that they're probably running with. They're probably saying, who cares if we lose that 128 million tomorrow? Probably 100 million of that immediately just goes to digital sales. Womp womp. We lose out on some people buying physical. Who cares? We're still making $1.5 billion. Go pound salt, for lack of a better term. And that to me, I think right now people are just buying digital because it's convenient and they know that there's still the option to buy physical if they want to. I think the pressure and the anger and them saying that nobody cares, they'll still make their money. That will change when you take away people's option to do so. Right now, like, you and I are just doing it because, like, there is physical if we want it. We just too lazy to run to GameStop. Let's just download it real quick. But that'll change if we can no longer do that. You know what I mean? Like, people are going to push back harder.
Yeah, yeah. Two things. One, those numbers obviously don't play in the consumer's favor. That's a massive swing. And to your point, how much of that 128 million in physical will convert over to digital if physical is no longer an option? Probably 60 to 70% of 60 to 70% of it. Had to throw that in there. The second part, um, I lost my train of thought after I said 6, 7. That's
Good. That's what
crazy.
you deserve.
That is crazy. Oh, it'll come back to me. Oh, second part, consumer's choice. Yeah, like for my Switch, I like having the physical cartridge for my Switch. I think because it's a portable system, you have like not game carrying cases, but I have a hard shell D brand case for my Switch 2 that comes with a top protective plate that has like a built-in game cartridge carrier. Like that those small things to me are like, that's what I did in my youth. I had a whole binder for all of my GameCube Advance or Game Boy Advance games that I took on the go with me with my Game Boy Advance. Like, it was fun to collect and have those things, and I still do that for some of my systems. To your point, we buy digital, but we still have the option to buy physical. You take that away, and I think it may be a little bit different for some people.
Yeah, and without, I will say PC gamers are lucky because Steam kind of acts like GameStop a lot of times. Of like, games are deeply discounted, they're on sale all the time. You can get a 5-year-old game for $6, like you could at GameStop. And yeah, it's not physical, but like the PlayStation Store. When's the last time you bought something off the Xbox Store? Never, because a game from 1924, if that was even a thing, would still be 70 GD dollars. Like, it's really insane to see the difference between, like I said, you can get a 2-year-old game on Steam 90% off, but a 20-year-old game on Xbox is still the same price. And like the old COD DLCs, like, you can still buy the Call of Duty 4 variety map pack for its full like $15 or whatever, which is insane. Like, it's so none of that stuff's discounted, and that's what Sony wants. But I think that if they made that change, it would at least be helpful. With the secondhand market, let people buy games for cheaper later. But another, to kind of keep the ball rolling, Take Two CEO, which this is worrying because obviously GTA, Take Two owns GTA, or owns Rockstar, which owns. CEO said, "Discs don't make sense to the consumer. Digital is more convenient. Our sales are 90% digital." And that just really irked me because What do you mean it doesn't make sense to the consumer? The consumer is telling you they prefer digital. Yes, I will admit digital is more convenient, but they're telling you they want physical. They want physical for numerous legitimate reasons, not just because I want it. And to be like, you don't know what you want. No, I'm gonna tell you what you want. How about that? It's just so arrogant. And it really rubbed me the wrong way. I think this was Strauss Zelnick. I'm pretty sure that was Strauss Zelnick. He's the Take Two CEO, right?
I
So
couldn't
I'm,
tell
I'm
you
pretty sure that's who said it. But
for
yeah, it's
sure.
just like our sales are 90% digital. Well, yeah, because you're not giving anybody, a chance to do so otherwise now. I mean, GTA 6 will be
Yeah.
nothing but digital. So, um, yeah, so
I
that
mean,
part just made me mad. But
yeah, same opinion as the Sony comment. It's just lack of empathy for consumers, and it's purely a dollar bill decision. Obviously, it's a business; it's got to make money. So I see both sides of it. But being in the consumer's shoes, it's sucks to see.
yeah, yeah, I think, like I said, like if you need to get rid of discs, fine, but offer us a similar, type solution to assuage some of the other complaints. Otherwise, people's worst conspiracies about you are probably true. Um and to kind of highlight why all this is important, we've kind of ran this home almost every episode with an example of this because it happens all the time. Aliens Fireteam Elite had his cloud server shut down recently, and Nintendo Switch owners just straight up not able to play the game anymore. Because it's all digital and whatever. And they can't refund it either. So this is the future that we're looking at going forward. Oh, we don't want to pay to upkeep the server, so you just don't own the game anymore. Um, is BS. And this is the kind of thing that we're looking at. This is the issue that people have had with the online only DRM, stuff with different games. And yeah, this is just again another example of why this is not good. Not a Sony issue this time around, but it does point towards one of the biggest issues with discless and digital only. But on a slightly more positive note, they've actually been showing off some more Wolverine gameplay, and it looks pretty
Yep.
decent. Ferg, what are your thoughts? I know you said before you were planning on getting that game. What are your thoughts so far?
Yeah, I was with the assumption that Sony was going to bring it to PC eventually. We saw
Uh,
how that panned out. I do not have my PS5 anymore. Went ahead and sold that guy. Um, but it is going to bite me in the ass now because I can't get Wolverine. Um, but it is receiving um, good reception from the additional gameplay that's been shown. I believe there have been some early players, IGN, and just some people with some early hands-on access. Just saying it's an Insomniac game, an Insomniac superhero game, so similar to the Spider-Man games. I think the quality that it's going to be, but I don't think it's going to be quite the knockout that the original Insomniac Spider-Man was, because I feel like that one was kind of the first of its kind of this is what a superhero game can be in the current gen, um, where Wolverine is more the same. It's cool. I like that they picked Wolverine. I like that they picked the more mature setting, compared to something like Spider-Man, where that's going to be much more catered to the younger generation, where Wolverine you are ripping and clawing people in half. So I think it's going to be a solid one. I'm bummed I'm not going to be able to check it out and play it when it releases, but it's good that they are still on their game and they're not dropping the ball and coming out with a dud.
yeah, the one thing, and I wanted to get your thoughts on it. We'll make this quick, but a lot of people have kind of drawn the parallels of like, they showed that one sequence where he's like running and there's gunfire, but it's really just a dressed up like you run,
Scripted.
yeah, like you just hold the thumbstick forward. And now that's happening in a lot of games. It's not just an Insomniac thing or just a PlayStation thing, although fanboys on, Twitter will say it is. But, a lot of games just have it. I don't really mind it as long as the set dressing grips me. I'm okay with playing a movie from time to time if there's still gameplay. I can't do one of those games where it's nothing but that. But if there's little scripted sequences like that where, yes, I'm just pressing up while a bunch of stuff happens around me, I just look at it as another form of cutscene that's a little more interactive. I don't get the rage
Yeah.
about it. I don't know about you.
No, I don't. I don't get the rage about it either. If you know, when I was seeing that, I was comparing it to the intro of Spider-Man 2. You have both Peter Parker Spider-Man and Miles Morales Spider-Man fighting Sandman in this huge like city-spanning fight. It's essentially the tutorial of the game where you're web swinging in a straight line. There's all these, sand fists coming and hitting buildings, and buildings are falling right next to you, and you're narrowly avoiding it. But essentially, you're web swinging straight, and nobody really seemed to complain about something like that. Um, I never got the complaints for something like this. It's, to your point, kind of a glorified cutscene. Um, and if you if you are going to look that deep into a game to complain about it, I feel like you are not getting that game to have fun. You are getting that game to do a hardware check, a performance check on it solely. So yeah, I don't have any complaints about that, or any caution against things like that in the Wolverine game.
Yeah, and I can kind of see it if that's all the game is, because there are some games out there that are just movies, and I kind of understand the vitriol aimed at those to a certain degree. But like, if you have a game and it has normal gameplay, and it looks like it has like stealth sections and straight up like action RPG type combat and all this other stuff, it's okay if sometimes you just press up on this thumbstick. And whereas, again, if it was just a cutscene, otherwise you would just be hands off. Are they the most gripping gameplay segments? No. Is my brain synapses firing on all levels? No, I'm just holding up. But like, you don't need to all the time. Like, who cares? Again, if the whole game's like that, okay, I get it. But if there's just little sections, again, just people blowing stuff out of proportion. But I wanted to see your thoughts because we hadn't actually, usually that's something that we talk about like off, podcasts, just shooting the air on Xbox some night or something. But yeah, I saw that and I was like, just
Yeah,
more hate. But yeah, that about wraps it up for all the Sony news. Mainly
thank
just
goodness.
yeah, yeah, nothing too crazy. They didn't shoot themselves in the foot too badly. Just a couple of ill-advised, quotes. So on to Xbox news. A lot of stuff here, so we're gonna try to go kind of quick. I don't think there's too much that we need to debate about. But kind of in complete opposition to what Sony is doing, Xbox will be continuing physical sales. It seems to be quite a priority for them. In fact, and as a matter of fact, it was a priority even before like Asha Sharma came in, before all these layoffs and all this stuff. They're not really doing it, or they didn't start out doing it necessarily because of backlash, so much as they're really focused on backwards compatibility. To have true backwards compatibility, you need to be able to support the discs, the mediums that those old games came on and are native to. So that's why they've kind of vowed, both internally and somewhat, to the public, that we are keeping going with this physical thing. Yeah, they're not necessarily doing it to make you and I happy, or people on Twitter and Reddit happy, but they are doing it so that backwards compatibility thrives, which is, I think, a great consumer friendly thing. And apparently, they have also tossed around the idea of like, hey, maybe we just sell disc drives in the future. Maybe we have an all digital console, but we still sell a disc drive that you can kind of plug in, probably 30, $50, whatever, that you can play old discs on, or you can hopefully maybe buy new discs as they come out, and stuff like that. And one of the other biggest things, and we've touched on this briefly, but as I promised, they have given more details, so we'll go over it a little more. Disc to digital program is coming. Now, again, we've mentioned this, but we didn't know how it worked. The way it'll work is you place the disc into the Xbox and it grants you a digital license. That license follows you on any new Xbox. So that becomes tied to your account. Hey, AJ owns, Halo 2, for example, the original Halo 2 or something. If, but, and this is the thing I was talking about with Sony that they should be doing and could be doing if they weren't trying to screw us over. If the disc changes hands, the license does too, and it becomes unusable for the previous owner. So that license acts exactly as the disc would. You can sell it. You can sell it on eBay. I don't know, maybe GameStop will figure out a way you could bring it in and sell it, there. That license then becomes not yours anymore. You can no longer play Halo 2. If I give it to you, you pay me $20, or I sell it to GameStop, they sell it to you for $20, whatever the case may be. You now have that code, now it's yours. And so it functions the exact same way, both in terms of resale and ownership and consumer friendliness versus, not screwing the company over at the same time as a disc would, but it's digitized, it's, moving forward, futurized, whatever you want to call it. Um, and again, this is the exact thing that Sony could be doing to be like, hey guys, don't worry. But they haven't said anything. But this is apparently the plan for disc to digital. So if you have old Xbox or 360 games, you can do this.
Yeah, I don't see them. I don't see Xbox making this decision more so to respect the consumer
Yeah.
and like be in the consumer's good graces as much as they are obviously seeing the nature of the industry and where it could be going and kind of holding their corner of it. If if all of the world's pizza shops closed, and it would probably be a pretty good idea to open a pizza shop after that happened.
Yeah.
So if Sony is moving to all digital, I just see it as Xbox keeping their share of the physical market and taking it over more now, and getting all of those consumers that want to stay with the physical trend, have those collector items and things of that nature. So I think it's a pretty obvious direction they're taking.
Yeah. And this is reason number 100,000,005 why competition is a good thing in the gaming space. Because to your point, they might not be doing it for my benefit or your benefit. They're doing it for my dollar and your dollar. But if in the end we also benefit from it, that's kind of how competition in a capitalist system works, and that's why we need more players in the system. To say, just like with the AI stuff, right? Sony went really into the AI, and Xbox said, I'm going to do the opposite. Now, they might not necessarily be doing that for you and I, but they want to distance themselves and say, okay, well, if Sony's doing this, I want to do this and see who makes more money in the end. Sony's going all digital. Xbox is saying, I'm not. We'll see if I make more money from doing this. But yeah, somewhere along the way, the consumer ends up winning sometimes, so I think that's a really good idea, and we'll see how it happens. I'd like to maybe convert some of my games that I have in my closet to a digital license so I can play them and stuff like that. Yeah, so I think that's a really cool. Now, I want to move quickly on to our Halo review and some news surrounding the Halo campaign Evolved. Just because, as with Black Flag, I wanted to give a nice 10 to 15 minute review, or before you buy type thing, for you guys. So before we get into that, I'm just gonna rip through a little bit of news around it. As is a shock to no one, the development process was kind of rocky, and it led to the cancellation of a planned multiplayer. So there was multiplayer planned for this campaign. Evolved. It wasn't supposed to just be campaign Evolved. It was going to be a whole remake of Halo 1, including multiplayer, which, and I'll get into this later, it desperately needed multiplayer. Um, and apparently that stemmed from a heavy reliance on external studios that ended up kind of going poorly and biting them in the rear end. I was going to read out like a whole tweet to you guys. I'm not going to take up the time for that. That basically broke down where it failed. There was a studio that they contracted for a bunch of stuff. That studio did not deliver it all, and they end up like having to redo all their stuff that studio did. They like scrubbed them from the credits, the whole 9 yards. It was just a mess. There was also like they kind of thought that they could just scooch over assets from the previous games and be done, and 10 months of development be done within a month or something like that. That ended up not being the case, so they had to go in there and they had to rebuild like almost every asset because of the new engine. And then obviously that led to like the last 9 months of development were just insane crunch to even get the game playable and out the door. um, and like I said, I mean, I feel like this is every game nowadays, like just development hell, especially at Microsoft. We talked about a lot of fat trimming and a lot of stuff, the 14 layers of management that everything has to go through and things like that. So I just think this is another kind of victim of it. And, we'll talk about that more during our review, but you can definitely tell. I'll put it that way as a teaser. Um, The game also only sold 1.2 million copies as of like a week or two ago. I don't know what it currently stands at now, obviously, which is only about $67 million in sales. Not counting it. I knew it. I should have changed that and said it was only like 66 million. I gotta be.
66.8.
I get it's like the gas station where they like hide that like and 9/10 of a cent off to the
Uh,
side. So yeah, it only sold 1.2 million copies. Not that much. And PlayStation, it didn't erupt on there, so they sold their soul out to sell it on PlayStation, and then it just didn't do that well on PlayStation. And pretty much immediately after release, layoffs began. Now, obviously, we've talked about this before on the podcast. After a game releases, you kind of expect some layoffs, but these seemed a little more targeted, a little more like, you messed up, get out of here. And that coincided as well, probably with a lot of the restructuring, the 1,600 jobs that we talked about that they need to cut and reorg and all that stuff. So I could very much see, hey, we're not going to cut you yet, because this is like a month or two before release when they announced those cuts. Finish your game, but once the game's done, you're done. So yeah, there was layoffs. I don't know the exact number, but there was layoffs there. And then finally, before we get to our review here, Xbox has reportedly explored having Activision or Sledgehammer Games make a Halo game. So pulling COD devs off to make Halo, that sounds just, that sounds
get
like
ready
fake
for
news.
Master Chief slide canceling around the corner with a one-shot needler. Get ready.
I mean, that is, now that you say that, I'm surprised there hasn't been a Halo crossover or a like Elder Scrolls well, there was a Fallout crossover because of the show. But yeah, like an Elder Scrolls crossover or, any of those, especially back during those games, they were having Beavis and Butthead. You mean to tell me they got Beavis and Butthead in there? They couldn't put Cortana all cheeked up in my COD lobby? Whatever, man. Whatever.
Purchase. Just kidding.
Realism be damned. I'm buying the
Just
Cortana cheeks.
kidding.
I'm not. No, I'm buying that.
He made it. He made his way to Fortnite, but not Call
Oh
of
yeah,
Duty.
that's right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's only a matter of time, probably. Um, but yeah, so that could be interesting. They realize kind of what all of us realize that Halo Studios slash 343 Industries sucks. And they need more people helping. Um, I don't know if
I don't. I don't
Sledgehammer
think I would
is.
mind. Yeah, I don't think I would mind Sledgehammer taking a swing at it.
I see what you did there.
No pun
Swinging a
intended. No pun
sledgehammer.
intended. I actually didn't mean to do that, but yeah, I feel like they are the studio to bring um, intuitive updates to COD when
They
they
listen to the
are
community real
forced
well.
are forced to make their games or their yearly CODs. They brought the like the barracks and COD World War, right? World War Two,
Oh, the headquarters.
COD Vanguard headquarters.
Yeah,
Yes,
World War II.
they
Yep.
were yeah, which I thought was awesome.
Yeah.
Obviously hasn't come back since, but yeah, I think they could take a swing at it. I'd sign up for that.
Somebody made the joke in the tweet that I got that from. They're like, yeah, it was called Halo 4. Because like the Halo 4 and 5 is when they added like all the COD-esque stuff to them.
Sprinting and
Yeah,
yeah.
it's sprinting and aim down sight and like all this stuff, and they're like, yeah, they already did that because somebody was like, oh my god, they were going to bring COD stuff to Halo, and they're like, yeah, well, they already did that. So that could be interesting. Now, obviously, nothing's like confirmed. There's not sledgehammers building the next Halo or something, but it could be interesting to see if they leverage that. So now we're going to dip into our thoughts on the game. Now, myself personally, I beat it on Legendary and played the prequel missions. Ferg and I together have played about half of the campaign, a little under half.
A little under,
Um,
yeah.
so and you said that's all you've played so far,
Yeah. Yeah.
but still like
Life picked
three,
up
three or
right
four
after
hours.
it dropped, so have not gotten a lot of time into it just yet. But I think I saw enough of a slice to know what was coming and
Yeah.
to know what to expect on some of the follow up missions and things like that. But I will let you give your thoughts since you did play through the whole thing.
Okay. Yeah. So, I'll start off. I got to say that I had a blast playing through the campaign. Like I said, my buddy and I played it on Legendary. Um, for me, it was kind of a personal thing, as a lot of people. I mean, this is why they're trying to sell it, because there's millions of people that are going to say what I'm about to say. For me, it was very personal because as a kid, that's what me and this friend did. He happens to be a friend that moved away. You know, he lives about 8 or 9 hours away from us now. But that's what we used to do as kids, pile in his basement and play this game and Halo 2 and Halo 3, all the campaigns on Legendary. So getting to do that now as an adult, you know, without getting too sappy or teary eyed over it, but like that's what this game was built to do, and it did that great. I talk to him occasionally, but we don't play any games. But this got us together again in a lobby playing the game. We beat the whole thing on Legendary. That is the hardest I've laughed. And you and I said the same thing during our playthrough of like you and I were, that was, the hardest we'd laughed in weeks. At, the various physics and, running, grunts over and blowing ourselves up and stuff like that. Like even, the 3 or 4 missions that you and I played, we had the same experience of like just dying laughing and just having a great time. That is what this game does so inexplicably well. Um, but that's because it's built on the bones of a game that I have emotional attachment to, as does millions and millions of people have emotional attachment to from 25 years ago. On its own, the merits on its own, I will say it's very eh. It looks beautiful. They did a great job. The Unreal Engine, obviously, it looks gorgeous. No matter what you do, it's going to look fantastic. I thought they did a great job of keeping the original art direction. Like I feel like it was very uh, faithful. Like if the game devs back in 2001 had Unreal Engine 5, this is how they would have wanted the game to look. They didn't. They kind of fixed some of the weird art direction changes that Halo Anniversary did. They kind of scaled things back. And yes, the original vision of the game, like what I just said was like the best summarization I can make of like if the original game devs had the technology, this is what they would have done. Now that being said, some of the cutscenes, not so much, right? Um, the cutscenes, the voice acting, the new lines, the re-recording of lines, kind of falls flat in a lot of places. I respect what they did with the cutscenes. I've heard the development hell that we talked about, just a couple bullet points ago, really shows here. They apparently had a lot of other stuff planned for the cutscenes. Like your character model, you get a couple skins, right, that you can put on your Spartan. That doesn't carry over to the actual cutscene. It's just Chief's like normal armor. Um, so that, and some of the line readings are worse. And you can also tell that Steve Downs is now like 60 instead of like in his mid 30s. Or however 25 years older than he was when he originally recorded. The Cortana lines, there's one where like in the original, she's like, "Oh my god, he's flying it manually" or something like that, and in here she's like, "Ah, he's flying it manually," like that snarky like Marvel s dialogue. So I think in some of those areas, it's really either meh or a downgrade. But again, if you enjoyed the original Halo, or if you never got to play through it, but you've heard your friends, maybe you're young enough, this is the definitive way to play it. I'm not going to talk about the prequel stuff yet. I want you to give your review on what you played, and then I can go into the prequel stuff. Um, but yeah, it was very kind of. If it wasn't for the fact that it was Halo 1, I would not be so stoked about it. It is really relying on those heartstrings that it's pulling, and the fact that the original game was just so incredible.
Yeah, yeah. I agree with pretty much everything you said. From my end, the moment to moment gameplay, really good. Like you said, throwing a plasma grenade and sticking a grunt and having it run straight at you and killing both of us while we were playing the same session. It was just like hilarious
Yeah.
and that youth of us coming out while we were playing was really fun and just kind of that carefree esque part of our life coming out and being able to remember that when Halo was so huge when we were younger was really cool to see that come to life and how we probably thought the game looked when we played it when we were
Oh
young.
yeah.
You see a lot of these games being remade and remastered, and it's like this is what we thought the game looked like in 2005 or whatever the date was, whatever the game was. I think they did a really good job bringing it into Unreal Engine and making the game look really, really good. I think one part for me though that definitely takes a negative side to this is the fourth iteration of the original campaign. We had obviously the original release. We had it in the Master Chief Collection. We had it in the anniversary, hey, combat anniversary. So maybe this is only the fourth iteration, not the fifth. But that docks at some points for me because it's getting into Skyrim territory. How many times can we keep releasing this game? Um, which unfortunately docks at a couple points. At the end of the day, it's still Halo One, and you're going to get that same story, same missions, same settings for that. I think apart from the actual gameplay, like you mentioned, those cutscenes, man, and some aspects of the game um, were so poor and coming from my PC. I don't know if it was a PC issue compared to console, but a lot of the cutscenes I couldn't even watch. I had to look away from how much blur there was, and it felt like the people in focus in the cutscene were playing at 30 or 60 frames, and then everything in the background was playing at 2 or 3 frames, and it was just so jarring to try to focus in on what was going on that most of the cutscenes I either looked away or skipped, so I wasn't able to see or experience the updates and the remastering of those um, in the way that I feel we should have been able to. Um, I think it's a fun game, but it wasn't anything that completely blew me away.
Yeah, it's very much so like you said, it's fun, but it's fun because the original was fun. You know what I mean? Like I do think that they brought up a lot of the quality of life improvements were nice, some of the things that you don't even notice. You're just like happy that it's there, and then you realize like, oh, the original never had this. I think it can benefit very much so from if they were to like churn this into a Unreal Engine 5 Master Chief Collection remastered and have like 1, 2, and 3, and maybe even 4 remade in this exact same way in a timely manner, like within the next 1 to 3 years, and have them all bundled as a way to be like, here are your favorite games brought up to 2026 or 2028 standards of living, enjoy them all at once. I think that would be perfect, but we can't wait another 10 years for them to remaster Halo 2 and then, another 5 years to do Halo 3 finally and like all this. Like, if you're going to do this we're bringing this up to speed, do them all at once. So we have all the Halo games at this point in time, again, in the next 1 to 3 years, get them all out, and then we can all kind of run through and have this same cathartic experience across the whole thing with better graphics, with a little more quality of life improvements that it needs, and level rebalancing and stuff like that they did, because they did make like the library a little bit better and different stuff like that. Um, so I'll touch on the prologue stuff because that's the stuff that they actually added. You haven't played it yet, so and some folks may have not have played it here. I'm not going to give away spoilers. Not that there's much to spoil in 2.5 hours of slop, but I hated the prologue. The characters are unlikable. They did the Quirk Chungus writing for Chief, which never goes well, and Johnson to a certain degree. The levels are bland and boring. One of them is clearly just there because they made some sick assets in Unreal Engine 5 and wanted to use them. Doesn't even make sense in the context. Like, they have this full outdoor area, but inside of a ship because you're on a ship for this entirety of the thing. The writing is grating. The new like lieutenant that comes in, like lore, obviously people have their, oh, there's a woman in my Halo game. BS. That no, discount that. That's not the issue. Ignore those folks. But she is written horribly, and it's very much so you can tell. Like, you play through the game, and again, apart from some line readings that maybe aren't as good as they originally were, very good writing, nice dialogue. You love it. You see that, the pinnacle that they were at when they were cooking back with Halo 1, 2, and 3. And then you see what Halo Industries or 343 Industries or whatever has become when you play these prologue missions. And it is so starkly, drastically. Like this lady comes on, she's like crap talking Chief and like just super grating on the ears in terms of like what she's saying, and it just makes no sense. Like, she keeps calling him like the walking propaganda machine, and you're gonna need more than a fancy suit of armor to impress me, as if he isn't a literal walking god in the pinnacle of human technology that is his armor suit. Like, huh? Like, that'd be like someone walking up to Thor in one of the Thor movies. Like, you're going to need more than a little hammer to impress me. As if he doesn't have literally the, the essence of lightning at his beck and call. Like, just being that sassy, like, for no good reason. And that just plays out to all the writing in it. And, they even make Master Chief do some, like, Marvel quips that don't really land, and I saw Actman's video on it, and I disagree with Actman on a lot of things, but I fully agreed with a lot of what he said on the prologue. It's just not good. And it does kind of highlight again, where we're at now, why like Infinite didn't do well, and why Halo 5 was kind of not too well received versus the absolute home runs they were cooking with Halo 1, 2, and 3. And it highlights to me, once more, what we had is the world we knew is gone in terms of like these development studios, and that's not just Bungie versus a lot of these franchises. They're still there in name only. It's a ship of Theseus type deal. This is a whole new cast of not so much heroes making these, and it shows bad.
Yikes! Yikes! Not
Yeah,
what you want to hear.
no, and I wish I could recommend it because it is like 2.5 hours of extra stuff that they did add. I would have much rather them not done that, or maybe done like a cool, funny intro cinematic that wasn't in the original game or something, and then given us multiplayer. Like divert all of that attention to multiplayer. Because I also think this is a tech demo. There were so many weapons. I'm not going to get into the lore because we'll be here all night. But like weapons that were like, why you clearly just made this weapon and you wanted to use it. You couldn't put it in the real game because you knew people would freak out. So you made this prequel that magically this weapon appears out of nowhere type stuff, or this enemy type or whatever. So some of the areas look really good. They really cooked with the art direction side of things, but pretty much nothing else. Hey, this is all this to say, if you're going to get the game, don't play the prequel missions. There's no incentive to do so unless you just want to check them out, see what it's like, play an extra 2.5 hours of Halo. Don't let them besmirch, like I said, the window into your childhood that will be the normal campaign. And that's, do you have any other final words on your side of the review?
No, I don't think so. I definitely need to play through the rest of the campaign when I have the time. But yeah, it's enjoyable. I think it's enjoyable with friends. It's enjoyable to get that, if you played Halo when you were young, to get that feeling again. But outside of that, to your point, it's only as good as it is because it's the original Halo one. If it was anything else, it would probably be a stinker.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's kind of where we're at with Halo. They gotta keep playing the greatest hits to keep people going. And I will say though, no joke, no meme. If you have Game Pass and you are around and you're as old as we are and you played this game back in the day, honest to God, I implore you, call up an old friend that still has an Xbox or a PC, beg them to crack a couple beers with you on a Friday night, a Saturday night, play this. I know I just kind of crap talked it for the last 10 minutes, some aspects of it, but honest to God, it is a window into your childhood that is done well enough, um, that you will have a blast. You'll laugh like you haven't in years. So all that's to say, I still do recommend it, even if it is flawed. Just don't play the new content, and you will be good.
Please, please, for the love of God.
Yeah, let this be like a Warzone thing where it gets you and some of your buddies back together because we all need it. We're not getting any younger, and any opportunity you have, Um, this is one of the shining examples of that. So, but yeah, that let us know down if you've played it. Let us know your thoughts. Obviously like Ferg said, we're gonna uh, try to beat the campaign together and enjoy that. But yeah, it also didn't really sell well. So we'll see if they give us 2 and 3. I really want 2 and 3 done this way. But moving right along, in equally huge news for Xbox kind of franchises here, Asha Sharma teased the next Elder Scrolls. So she just put out a tweet that basically said she got to see a live playthrough and it looks really good and all this stuff, whatever. But in doing so, she teased the title with 8 asterisks. And then Bethesda kind of replied to her with those same 8 asterisks, confirming that the new title will have 8 letters in it. And Ferg, do you want to tell our viewers what everyone seems to think the game will be called?
Yeah, looks like it's gonna be Elder Scrolls Sentinel, which is pretty cool. I like that. I don't know the lore implications to that, if Sentinel means anything in the Elder Scrolls universe, but um, rumored to be Elder Scrolls Sentinel.
Yeah, so it is it's a city in the region that they're basically speculating the game to take place in. They're
Gotcha.
Yeah, so it's going to be like in the Alakir Desert type region. They're speculating like High Rock as well. So kind of like that whole, if you're into Elder Scrolls, the Iliac Bay region, which is regions that we haven't seen since like the Elder Scrolls Daggerfall, which obviously none of us have played since I was like 1997 or whatever. So that'll be, yeah. So it's the name of a city. To give you a little more context for, even though it is like people are speculating too, because to your kind of the point you were like starting to make there of like what could that mean, like could it mean something like Sentinel was a very it's not just like Whiterun, which in Skyrim would have just been a city and that's it. Sentinel could also mean a lot of other things. So in addition to it being the I don't know if it's the capital city. Elder Scrolls nerds are going to have to correct me on that. But yeah, so apparently, though, the way they found this out, obviously, it has 8 characters, and everyone like listed everything like High Rock and Orsinium and different things like that were also 8 characters. But they went back and they looked at the character creation screen of Starfield. Now, whenever you're creating your character in Starfield, there's like an employee ID number at the bottom. Now, most people would have just assumed that's a random number, just to add to like the UI interface of it all. No, that's a static number, and it's 16 characters long, each corresponding to a two digit number. Oh, I can't talk. Which is places in the alphabet, and if you section them off into each 2 numbers, you get Sentinel. So, the E is like the 5th letter of the alphabet or whatever. So 05 corresponds to E, etc. So
That's pretty
pretty
cool.
cool. Yeah, even
He's
as far
pretty
back as
confident that it's Sentinel.
yeah. Did you ever watch Epic Nate? Like he
No,
does lore videos on Skyrim and like top tens and stuff like that.
I don't think I have.
He's pretty cool. He does pretty big channel, like 2 million subs or something like that. But he has insiders. I watched a video of him the other day saying, and he has like insiders, and they pretty much confirmed. Also, Michael Kirkbride, one of the former main writers at Bethesda for the Elder Scrolls franchise, responded like a Reddit thread where somebody said Sentinel question mark, and he just responded, "Yep." Now he's not on the game anymore. He might be there in a pseudo advisory role here or there, but
Yup.
so I think we can pretty much
From the
confirm.
top ropes.
Yeah. So Elder Scrolls 6 Sentinel is what we're looking at now. Obviously, they haven't confirmed that yet. But I love hearing that there's a playable build out there, that they're physically doing gameplay demos. They're not just showing her artwork on a whiteboard. And that we might be getting close to. I just want like something small by the end of the year, just like a little teaser. You don't have to show me like an in-depth gameplay walkthrough of the game. Just give me something. Flash Elder Scrolls 6 Sentinel up there, and then just show me, some characters doing some shit. I don't know.
Maybe the 8 asterisks meant 8 more years.
I'll cry. I'll vomit everywhere.
Not only is it the is it the character count for the title, it's also 8 years away.
I'll cry. Now, apparently, all the leaks point to a 2028 release, which is still way too long.
Yep.
But that at least means it's kind of on the home stretch, if you want to call it that. But yeah, and to loop this back to a previous point, I could see this also being $100 game with like a Netflix reveal and all that. Like this Elder Scrolls 6 or Fallout 5, I think, are one of the few games that have enough gravitas to get away with some of the BS that GTA 6 is. Personally, I don't know about you.
I think if Starfield didn't drop the way it did, yes, but I think they're
That's true.
on the downtrend,
Yeah,
unfortunately, and they have some ground to make up.
that's fair. That's fair. So yeah, we'll let you guys know if we get any official word on that. Hopefully soon. Next up, real quick, voice chat will now be included in your game capture soon. So you can capture your favorite moments in video games, all while your friends say questionable things that would get them fired from their day job in the background.
good for the good for the majority, bad for people like you and I.
Yeah, no one's escaping this one alive. You finally beat the game, or you get the master of camo and COD just to hear somebody say something that would probably make someone cry in the background. So that's great. But that is a feature that's been much requested, which huh? But yeah, it has. So you can hear your friends' parents getting divorced in the background of your favorite sniper clip now. Fantastic. Next up, and I included this specifically for you. Our viewers have the right to know as well. But RuneScape Dragon Wilds 1.0 will be releasing on Game Pass. So now you have no excuse not to play with me for at least 2 days before banning it and never playing it again with me while I cry in the corner.
That's usually what I do. So you put those 2 days in my calendar, and I will do it.
But I mean, seriously, that's good news. I think you guys should all check out RuneScape Dragon Wilds if you like the survival. It's very RuneScapey in terms of lore, in terms of the skills that you get.
I'm sorry.
Oh,
RuneScape Dragon Wilds is very RuneScapey.
no, I'm just
I don't
saying
know.
because a lot of people were
I got
worried.
you.
That it'd come out and it would just be RuneScape in name only. So I'm happy to report that fork is found in kitchen. Because they were worried that there would be a fork in the kitchen. So I'm just saying, regardless, it's a very good survival game. It's damn it, and it is coming to Game Pass for free, and I definitely think everybody should check it out, especially the 1.0 release. There's so much content in that game now. So yeah, that will be coming. I think that's sometime in September. He's still losing. For those of you on the audio side of things that can't see him.
I'll take the next bullet point here.
Yeah, you gotta compose
Um,
yourself. Get yourself back right.
woo! Alrighty. In other news, Xbox has unveiled their Gamescom lineup for their 2 days happening on Wednesday, August 26th, and Thursday, August 27th. The 26th and the 27th. Games showing on Wednesday, the 26th, include Minecraft Dungeons 2, which our viewers will be happy to hear that it includes Minecraft.
I'm gonna.
Gears of War, the new Tomb Raider, Legacy of Atlantis, Crazy Taxi, Persona 4, like AJ said earlier, Forza Horizon 6, Fable, and Warhammer 40K. On Thursday, some of the big hitters are Microsoft Flight Simulator, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 4, Turok Origins, Stuntman Hollywood, Dragon's Dogma 2, Dark Arisen, which I believe is going to be a DLC, because the latest in Dragon's Dogma was Dragon's Dogma 2,
Dogma
correct?
nuts. Yes, yeah, I believe so.
I knew it was coming. That's why
You said
I
it 4 times.
stumbled
I
over
had to.
saying it. Yeah. And a few more on each days. But those were the two or those were the heavy hitters for the 2 day lineup there. So good to see that we are gonna get some coverage for a lot of big games coming up.
Yeah, and I think just to give you guys kind of a heads up, we'll probably do what we did a couple weeks ago and record on that Thursday, so that we can cover the GTA release both days of Gamescom. Which was funny. I saw Jeff Keighley like tweet out like, "Wow, yeah, tough competition. The Gamescom have to deal with the GTA release." So yeah, so it might be a day late next week, but we will cover all this. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to some of this. Like, you know, assuming the Minecraft dungeons feels like Minecraft, I'm really excited to play that. They have Forza Horizon 6 here. I hadn't looked over this poster before I made that comment earlier. So I am really hoping now that they are showing off a DLC and stuff like that. Otherwise, why would they? They never advertise seasonal content and things like this. So this looks like a really good lineup. I don't see Fallout Remastered on here, but I'm hoping that we hear something. They've already announced it. I want to see something.
See it for real.
Yeah.
I don't know if I mentioned on the Wednesday 26th clip, but do want to throw that Fable will be shown as well. So
Oh yeah.
another big one there coming up.
Yeah, and everything we've seen from that so far has been really good. So I hope they keep that coming. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think that's all right. I think we covered everything coming to Gamescom. Um,
Yeah. There's like I said, there's some more games to be shown, but a little bit um, more of the heavy hitters listed there. So
no Kiln DLC shown up there.
no Kiln 2, the
More
fires
pottery.
of uh, beats me. Beats me. I'm just gonna stop there and move on to the next one. Mattel Brick Shop has announced a 1-to-1 replica of the original Xbox. So pretty cool. We've seen this happen with Lego. I think most recently, the original Game Boy, Lego came out with a um, replica build for it, which is pretty cool. I think it retailed around $60. So I still want to pick that up and build that. But if you want to pick up this Mattel original Xbox replica, it's only going to cost you $330. Swing and a
So more
miss.
than the actual Xbox.
That is half of an Xbox Series X right now. So
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. When your Lego versions are more than the actual, like I can go out and buy an original Xbox, probably a pretty good condition one for, you know, a tiny fraction of that. That's
yeah,
yes.
I
Um,
thought it was $33 at first, and then I did a double take, and it's $330. So not gonna sell many of them.
no, especially since it's not Lego. It's an
Yeah.
off-brand Lego. So, geez. Okay. Well, yeah, there you have it. That not only are console prices increasing, um, their replicas are
So is
too.
plastic.
Yeah. Jeez. Oh man. Okay. In slightly better news, Power World MMO has been kind of I guess pseudo revealed, if you want to call it that. And it will be coming soon. So it's basically a Power World, like an MMO version of Power World. Power World just came out in 1.0, but they're already expanding into like the TCG sector. They're getting like a trading card game out there. Now they're doing an MMO, which I think could be pretty interesting depending on how they do it. I hope it's not just the base game, but you can play with more people. So we'll see how they do that. I'm interested. I still have yet to drop into 1.0, trying to get a crew together and maybe play, or just finally just dive in by myself, because I've heard very good things about how much content it has now. But yeah, an MMO could be pretty cool. Similarly, another game unveiled, and I don't know if you've ever played these. Kingdom Hearts 4 was unveiled. Now I've never played these. I don't know about you, but I think it's a pretty big deal for them to finally unveil at the Disney showcase.
Massive, massive. Well, I believe they originally teased the unveiling in the last Nintendo Direct. However, they did unveil a pretty major universe. Like you said, I haven't played any of these. I know you haven't played any of these, so I'm not really sure how these games work. But it looks like the Coco universe is being brought to Kingdom Hearts 4. So that's pretty cool. I know they follow, the Disney universes, um, and kind of intertwine the characters that way. So I believe the big reveal was, what one of the big universes and what some of the big characters are with this one, and they came out with Coco for this.
Cool. Yeah, it's funny like now seeing like Dreamlight Valley, which is like kind of the Animal Crossing game that like has all of these, and they're slowly bringing in like new movies and stuff like that. Like I don't know. Now they're inexplicably linked, even though they could not be more different in terms of type of games. But in my mind, they're like the same because they're just tossing new Disney franchises in there. But yeah, that's pretty huge. I know a lot of people really love the Kingdom Hearts franchise. I know one of our buddies that is like his favorite
Yep.
game franchises. So, a lot of people are super excited for that. And as always, we'll cover any news about it here on the channel, especially if we decide to check it out, and kind of go from there. Maybe some not so good news, or rather, maybe finally some closure for fans of the series like us, for Midnight Club fans. Now, I think I mentioned it on this podcast before. Midnight Club 3 Dub Edition Remix is in my top 5 games of all time. It is a massive part of my childhood. As a matter of fact, it is a massive part of Ferg and I's friendship. Back in the day, playing it at sleepovers at each other's houses and stuff like that. So whenever Midnight Club LA came out, we were super psyched about that. I didn't have an Xbox 360 yet. I ended up getting it a couple years later. Um, and it was kind of mixed reactions, not as good as Dub Edition or Midnight Club, 3 in general. But we were very eagerly awaiting the next Midnight Club, which never came. And now we know why. Recently, it was revealed that execs at Rockstar basically started infighting about the franchise. I guess that they TLDR of everything I'm about to say, it was canceled because it's not GTA. Quite literally. Rockstar did the thing that kind of Microsoft is doing now of just like, hey, if you're not our biggest IP, get out. Go. We don't want you. We don't want to waste time on you. And yeah, execs at the various Rockstar studios started fighting about it. They couldn't come to an agreement on anything. There was apparently a London map that was prototyped out for the next game, which I think could have been really cool, as well as a couple other cities that you maybe would have traveled to. And MC5 was already like in active development, like it was being built, like there was concepts being built and all that stuff, but it was canceled because of all these disagreements with the studios. And then pretty much right as the game was canceled, the team was disbanded. Some of them went to go work on like the Rockstar Rage engine, and the others were shipped off to work on games like GTA 5 and Red Dead Redemption 2, and stuff like that. So yeah, pretty much they just Minute Club is not what we're going to make $1.2 billion at release on. So goodbye, see you later. And I, for one, am super upset about this. Like it almost hurts more knowing that it was in development.
Yeah, yeah. Super sad to hear this. I think a current gen Midnight Club would do some serious numbers. To know that the series is exiled and probably never coming back is sad. Um, and it's a bummer that Rockstar thought, it's not. It needs to be more like GTA, and because it's not, we need to just throw it in the trash. Like you said, Midnight Club 3 was like the one of the games of our childhood, um, and our friendship. So hold that one very very near and dear to me. Um, it would have been cool to see if they would have continued to iterate on the Midnight Club games and where they would be at compared to something like Forza Horizon 6 at this point, if they would have been able to keep it up.
Yeah, and especially now with the big hole in the market, we've talked about this I think a couple times on the podcast. Of like, there's no casual racers anymore. Or not really, really just Forza and occasionally Need for Speed, depending on how much it shoots itself in the foot. And this would be a wide open market for them to corner. And they tried doing some things in GTA Online. It was never anything close to Midnight Club in my mind. So yeah, it kind of stings. Maybe someday it gets rekindled after they've stopped spending all their money on GTA 6. Who knows? I'm here hoping that it does. At least some game like it takes its place. I need it in my life. But moving right along, We do have a little bit of news with COD in regards to just the series as a whole, as well as Modern Warfare 4. New multiplayer trailer released ahead of the beta, which I think the beta is next weekend, right? Does that sound about right?
This
Or this
upcoming
weekend?
weekend, I
Okay.
believe. Yeah.
So that'll be coming out, and they released a new trailer. I did not get to watch the trailer. I watched like the first 30 seconds at the gym, and I did not get to watch it. Was it good?
Yeah, I mean it's going to be your typical over the top stylized multiplayer trailer. Um, I saw a lot of people saying like this is the best multiplayer trailer that they've come out with, but it's just a multiplayer trailer. You're going to see new guns,
Yeah.
new maps. Um, they didn't have anything too cringy, like the fake in game and in match voices talking to each other as if they were actually fighting, um, minus the ending. They showed the nuke animation. Um, you drop a bomb, you kind of attach yourself to this. In some way, you get like catapulted up. I don't know if you attach yourself to a helicopter or you get shot into the air from like a supply beacon type of thing. But as you are like falling back and falling away from this nuke, your character throws up his middle finger at the nuke, which I thought was very cringy. Could
Yeah.
have been cool, in my opinion, to just fly outside of the map away from the nuke, but they had to throw that middle finger up in there, which I thought was super cringy. Um, Typical trailer. Like I said, one thing that, and sorry to jump the gun here if you were going to switch to that, one thing to note with this beta though, it will include single player and Warzone as well for the first time ever. So they are adding a little bit more than the typical multiplayer betas they have in the past.
Awesome. I don't think I would play a campaign mission ahead of time. Like,
No.
you know what I mean? Like, what's the point of a beta if they're not gonna? What are they gonna do? Rebalance that campaign mission? I don't. But
And
that's
I mean,
cool nonetheless.
they they could take the chance to make it a single player slice where it ends on a mini cliffhanger,
That's true.
which could
Yeah.
grab your attention.
Yeah.
But I think it's kind of weird. Multiplayer in Warzone would have been cool, but they're adding all three. So
Hmm. Well, that is pretty cool to see. And I don't know if I have time, maybe I'll check it out. I guess I didn't pre-order it, so maybe I have to wait for the open beta next week. But regardless, yeah, that seems pretty cool. However, your experience in game might not be as cool. So we reported a couple weeks back that they seemingly were moving the algorithm, matchmaking algorithm, back to what Black Ops 1 and Black Ops 2 were, following the release of those ports. In the weeks following, pretty much everyone called BS on that. They said, no, you just pretty much put us back to classic multi or matchmaking. And today they released more just word salad that essentially just said, in effect, it's not the old system, but it is taking skill more into consideration. So we were right. It is essentially a middle ground between like Modern Warfare 2019 SBMM and like the more open playlist. And that will be coming to Modern Warfare 4. And of course, they have some BS statistics. They're looking at a game that is 10 months into its life cycle, of which only the sweatiest of players are playing. And like, just a super bad time to try to take statistics. We knew they would do this. We knew they would cherry pick results to justify their end. They're claiming that people are quitting more often during this. It's just like a bunch of flawed statistics. Um, and then, yeah, they try to rationalize it. So, matchmaking is back to going to be super sweaty again. And I'm not excited at all. The game itself, again, I'm probably going to get it. You know how that goes. But this kills a little bit of the wind under my sails, so to speak. I was really hoping for the open matchmaking. I had a great time with it in Black Ops 7. And, you know, screw us, I guess. We're just going
yep,
back to hell.
playing with friends is back to being difficult. So
Yeah.
cool.
Hopefully, because it is a middle ground, maybe it's more forgiving than before. Maybe we can still play together. I'm hoping, because we will be packed in with beer and Little Caesars regardless. So, yeah, just depends on how much we scream that night. Um, so yeah, that's again. I'm not gonna read through all their tweets because it is just word salad and corporate speak, and Uh, kind of bold faced lies, if I'm to be honest. So not a good look though. Everyone's pretty mad. The community is just up in arms. The girls are fighting. It's not good. And yeah, so not a good thing going into the beta. But we will cover people's reaction to the beta to see if it is truly that bad, or if it's a decent middle ground that they claim it is. And we will report back on that. So yeah, we'll have to see firsthand how that goes. EA, kind of shifting gears a little bit. EA was recently acquired, like we covered here on the podcast, by a Saudi firm, a couple other investment firms. They are now $22 billion in debt because of it, because of all the loans that the company had to take out to buy it. And with that, as you can guess, it is going to lead to some cuts. So they said the EA told investors they would cut $700 million in annual costs going forward. This could include layoffs, and this includes $170 million in quote organizational. Now the tweet said efficiencies. I think it meant organizational inefficiencies, to be honest. But so there's going to be massive layoffs to cover 170 million. That's insane.
Yeah, those Madden Ultimate packs are gonna chooch up in price. So get ready.
Oh my god, man. The FIFA, well, EAFC, whatever it's called now. You're gonna have to pay like two
Oh
hundred
yeah,
$78,000 to play as Ronaldo. It's
yeah.
gonna
For
be
some reason,
insane.
I was thinking FC was not EA, but yeah, that's gonna be even worse now.
Yeah. Well, because they lost the naming rights for FIFA, so they had to name it something else.
Yeah,
But it is still the same game. Um, yeah, it is just gonna be a nightmare. I can't wait to watch this play out. Everyone was like, even myself, I think at first I was kind of like, oh, they're not beholden to shareholders anymore. But now they're $22 billion in debt. They have to cut $170 million, and like that's monumental. That's more than like some small country's GDP. So that's a lot of countries probably. That's just insane. So kind of along with that, EA is looking into the idea of selling off like BioWare and some of their other IP. Nothing's obviously finalized, but just things that they're looking into to maybe make some of that money back or cut down on their expenses. Nothing seems to be off the table. So what we maybe thought could have been good, could have been bad, is immediately shifting towards it's just going to be bad. So look for EA to be even more EA than EA was EA before. And that's pretty much all I have to say on that matter. Um,
yeah,
so, do you want to take us through moving on to the next section here? What is
yeah.
Marathon doing?
Unfortunately, it's not doing anything. Right now, it is struggling to break 5,000 concurrent players, which I think the writing was on the wall. We've continued to talk about that. In the beginning, I gave the game a lot of praise. I still do think it is a really fun game, a very niche game, not something that the Bungie could sustain themselves with, though. And it's clear that it's not that game.
Yeah,
Trying to break 5,000 players. I think something on the side to go along with this, too, is there was a recent earnings call where some leadership quoted that they were excited to announce meaningful player base and positive and strong player retention following Marathon's season 2 release, which is clearly not the case. They're just trying to scrape against any positivity they can. Um, you know, Announcing a meaningful player base. Maybe they gained an extra 2,000 players from the season 2 drop, and that's what they're quoting. Um, and they had, I don't know, an extra 50 people play the game for 2 or 3 days in a row, and that's their positive player retention. Um, Marathon's going to die soon. I doubt they make it to the full year of content that they originally planned and then doubled down on and said, yes, we are continuing to support this game for at least a year. I can't see it making it that far.
yeah. It seems like it's on its deathbed. It's not Concord levels of dead in a week or High Guard dead in a month or two, but It definitely seems like it's on its deathbed. And again, I think if they had prioritized like how much money they spent on it and how much eggs they were going to put in that basket, this wouldn't be terrible. Like it's a niche game. If they get 5 to 10,000 people playing it every day, they can make some money off some microtransactions and expansions and just be fine. But they spent so much on development. They put all of their hopes and dreams into this one thing. This is not hopes and dreams supporting numbers. This is a fun little pet project that we did for a couple years to get us some money on the side to aid in the development of Destiny 3 type numbers. And I think that's exactly what this game should have been.
Yep. Yep. It's a bummer. It's a bummer. I love the aesthetic of the game. I thought it was super cool and something that I've never seen before, and a lot of people haven't seen before. But I think we are marching toward the inevitable demise of Marathon.
Yeah, and that's tough because, like I said, I mean, I know you enjoyed the game. I know a lot of people did, but it's just mismanagement at the upper levels and kind of on the expectation of the game. So it's not dead yet, but we will cover its stay in the hospital with bated breath to see how that goes down. Next up, and usually this is the point of the podcast, right? We have usually 4 or 5 fun little stories that we just kind of rattle off. First one, just so odd. But the Pokemon Company is currently facing a lawsuit after a former executive, I think it's Pokemon, I don't know if it's the Japan branch or the US, was arrested for secretly filming people inside company bathrooms. Not just filming people like inside some public bathroom somewhere, he's a perv, whatever. No, it was the company bathrooms. 89 videos were apparently found that were filmed inside office toilets. So I don't have like a whole lot of legal information on the case. I didn't do a deep dive because I knew this would be a light end to the news segment of the podcast. So I didn't dive too deep, but this is crazy. I just had to include this, like 89 videos of people going to the
Dare
bathroom.
dare I say, this former exec was trying to catch them all.
That's crazy. Oh my
Uh,
god.
what an ugly comment for me. Yeah, that's wild. Absolutely wild. Nothing more to say. Never mind. I was gonna say where's Chris Hansen, but these are adults,
Yeah,
not children.
it's
Still terrible,
only
but
legal instead of super legal. Uh,
still terrible. But
oh my
yeah,
goodness. Yeah, so that's
yikes.
if you were worried about Blizzard and the possibility of breast milk in a refrigerator, Pokemon Company got something way worse going on.
Totally forgot about
Um,
that.
whether or not Jason Schreier made that up, we still don't know. But kind of moving along, there have been layoffs at That's No Moon, which is creators of the new Crossfire game that we both said kind of looked cool. It was kind of like a narrative focused shooter that was kind of unveiled during Summer Games Fest. So there's nothing released on whether that's going to change the outcome of the game's release or if it's going to delay or cancel or anything like that. But there have been layoffs at that studio. There have also been layoffs, about 75 in this case, at Supermassive Games. Now I know they've made some games recently. I can't put my finger on like the name's super familiar, but I don't remember what exactly they've made. But they did put out a statement that about 75 folks will be let go. Which I think for a studio their size is a decent chunk. It's not a insignificant portion of, excuse me, I got hiccups. Oh my goodness, of their workforce.
Yeah, I'll take it away from you. Supermassive Games did games including the Until Dawn series
Oh,
and the Dark Anthology games as well. So I forget the four that came out with that Dark Anthology. Man
oh
of
yeah.
Medan, I think, was one, and which I loved. When the original Until Dawn came out, I loved it. I think I want to say it came out in college, and we played a couple hours together in our dorm,
Yeah, I think we had
if
a
I'm
bunch of people
remembering
over and
correctly.
people were like
Yeah,
shouting out
yeah,
which button to press and stuff. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so
Bummer to see. Bummer to see.
Yeah, yeah, and I think they just put out Until Dawn 2, or they're going to be putting that out soon. So I don't know how that affects any of that. But I think this
That's
is
true.
again. I mean, you know, across the industry, they're cutting fat. They're realizing the games are costing way too much. And to be honest, what's the first cost that goes into a game? Paying someone 60, 70, whatever $1,000 a year, plus benefits, plus this, plus that, plus that. Um, it's much easier to just cut 75 of them and hope that the rest of the studio can still pump out games to make you a couple $1 million every year or two. So yeah, that's unfortunate. A couple layoffs there. And then finally, the last little segment that we have before we go on to end the podcast here. Um, this really irked me. BioWare, a developer at BioWare, warns fellow devs against implementing player feedback because, quote, they're not developers. Now this reminds me of the football player that says, "Oh, if you never play football, you can't critique how I'm playing." While he dropped 18 passes and then proceeded to run the ball into the wrong end zone and lose the game for his team. I don't have to play any amount of football to know that you're a colossal failure. Just like I don't have to develop any games to know that recent BioWare games have been complete and utter piles of steaming crap on the ground. And this is the kind of mentality that I think is ruining game development because too often they don't listen to player feedback. They do whatever they want to do, and then they have this haughty, kind of a holier than now attitude of like the players don't know what they want. If you don't like it, don't play it. And it's like, dude, your company's going under. You better start listening to the people that are waving their credit cards at you, begging to buy something that they want to play instead of whatever you're churning out.
Yep, yep. I think for BioWare to come out and say this is very hypocritical, because you look at, Dragon Age 2, Inquisition, hailed as one of the greatest RPGs of all time, um, leading up to their most recent Dragon Age Veilguard, which was rather poorly received. And it was clear that nobody wanted the series to go in that direction, and player feedback made it loud and clear they didn't want it to go in that direction. And sales were not great for that game. So maybe they should implement some player feedback.
Yeah, I mean, like Bioware is one of the ones that people are constantly talking about. Like maybe they get shut down or they get massively because they've failed time and time again recently with like Andromeda, and then Veilguard was absolutely horrendous, and all these games just again, I get the same anger like I said as when a football player does poorly. You can't judge me unless you played football. Yes, I can. I know 100% that what you did was horrible. I don't need to develop a game to not like a game. And nor do you have to make me make a game to implement my feedback. Like, I'm not telling you, it would make sense if people were like, now you could have used a global variable here instead of trying, like, if I'm giving you like literal coding advice and you're like, you've never built a game, what do you know about optimization? That's fair. But if we're sitting there being like, we want a game that looks like this, or we don't want dialogue like anything in Veilguard, you know, that doesn't take a college degree in game development to say or be correct. So that just, and I worry that a lot of the industry thinks this way. They are no longer making products for people, they are making products for themselves and throwing tantrums when other people don't share the same vision as them or gameplay sensibilities as them. And it's sad to see. I'm really worried about the future of BioWare, especially since I think I would love a lot of their games, um, their older games. But yeah, that's kind of scary.
Yeah, I think we saw the same thing with Mass Effect too. 1, 2, and 3 are super highly praised. Where was it Mass Effect Andromeda that
Yeah.
came out, and
Mm-hmm.
it was kind of a joke. And
Yeah.
I misspoke. It was not Dragon Age 2 Inquisition. Inquisition was a separate Dragon Age game, so misspoke there. But I believe Dragon Age 2 was their heavy hitter in the Dragon Age series. Anyway, yeah, rich coming from Bioware. Um, it's just not a good mentality to have.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, yeah, that about rounds it out for our news segment of episode 15 here. Real quick, before we sign off, as always, we like to kind of rattle through the different games we're playing and let you know what we're up to, maybe some games to put on your radar to play. So, to start off for me, just been playing Forza again just to do the weeklies. I haven't really played outside of the weeklies. Unless I just want to try to buy every single car in the auto show, there's not much for me to do outside of multiplayer and the weeklies. Still been playing Minecraft. Obviously, like we talked about during our review, I played Halo Combat Evolved, did a legendary run through on that, beat the prequel missions, unfortunately, and stuff like that. I've also been playing a cool vampire survivor like game called Jotun Slayer, Hordes of Hell. That's been another one I was able to play with my buddy on via like Steam Remote Play because they have like couch co-op version. Super cool game if you like vampire survivor type games. This one has a really rich like character skill tree, and you play as like a Norse like Viking classes. There's various classes and different Norse gods that can give you powers and stuff. It's very cool. I recommend you check it out. It's like $8 on Steam. So it's definitely a really cool game. And then, ironically, there was a Conan DLC in that where you got like a whole new not operator, a whole new class to play as, which was Conan the Barbarian, and like a whole new map to play on that was themed for that, and stuff like that. A whole bunch of content. It was like a $3 DLC. I bought the DLC to play just to have another character to play as, and I ended up remembering that like in a Steam summer sale years back, I bought Conan Exiles because it was like $3 on Steam. So I started playing that again, and that is just a craft survival crafting game. You know me, but it is pretty cool. Graphics are really good. This is, I guess, the enhanced edition, so it's like an upgraded. And there's a lot of nudity in it that I was not expecting, but laughed like a 12-year-old at quite frequently. And then, yeah, I've been playing Battlefield 6 on Thursdays with some friends, and it still holds up. Still a fun game to play, even though, they haven't given us the best seasons of content. So it about rounds it out for me.
Yeah, I have been playing nothing because life. Just been busy with some things, so haven't been playing too much. Um, Probably the last thing I played, we jumped on Forza last night. Very quick for me. But before that, last week or about a week and a half ago, worked a little bit further through Resident Evil. So gotten to a little bit more open of an area where you can start to buy some weapons and upgrade some weapons. So it's really starting to open up a little bit. Still continuing to have a really good time with that game, but have not played anything too much lately.
Awesome. Well, hopefully things get a little bit cleaner for you, and over the next couple of days, we got some new games coming out, some new DLCs, stuff like that we can get our hands on and get you back in the chair a little bit. But yeah, that about wraps it up for us, guys. Thank you for holding on through kind of a longer episode, not terribly longer than our normal, but we did have about 3 weeks of stuff to cover on top of a review, on top of a couple of discussion points. So yeah, I think we got through it pretty well. Hopefully, didn't bore you guys too bad. But as always, if you enjoy the podcast, please like and share on any platform that you watch it on. If you're watching it on YouTube, give us that thumbs up. Give us a comment down below to boost that algorithm power. Share us on all your socials if you want some of your friends or family that would enjoy this type of content. Get our name out there. It helps us get a broader audience, which helps us get more and varying stories and games to cover for you guys. That kind of leads me to my next point. If there is a game or a story or a huge headline that you want us to cover but you didn't hear us covering, let us know. You can find us on Reddit and Twitter. The links will be on our profile and usually in the description of each of these videos, where you can reach us. DM us on Twitter. I think you can DM on Reddit. I haven't been on there in a couple years, but you can DM us on Reddit or Twitter. Let us know. Hey guys, look at this story. Would you guys mind covering this on episode 16? Or hey, a new game's coming out. Would you guys maybe play it if you own it, and give us a review, stuff like that. If you agree or disagree with any of our points that we've made, there is comment sections on Spotify, on YouTube, all of the above, below, I don't know how you want to phrase it, but yeah, definitely any participation there helps grow this audience. Like I said, numbers are trending up a little bit, but we would love to have more of you with us every single week. And usually, to end things off here, I will pass it to Ferg to give us our question of the week that we want you guys to answer down below in the comments section or via DM. Ferg, what you got for us this week?
Yeah, we talked about the Steam frame being leaked. Have you jumped into VR yet? Is it a trend that has come and gone? You haven't put any time into it. I think I've dabbled in it a couple times over the years. I bought a PSVR 2 and promptly returned it the next day because I felt like the tech still wasn't kind of up to where I would hope it to be for a VR system. So, have you jumped into VR yet? Do you think it's going to last going into the future? Let us know in the comments below.
Absolutely, guys. And as always, you can find us on YouTube. We post everything usually the day after we record on Thursdays or Fridays. That goes live on YouTube. And then usually a day or two later over on Spotify, which then pushes out via RSS to things like iHeartRadio and several other podcast channels as well, wherever you want to view us. If you guys have a podcast viewing channel or service that you can't find us on that you would like to, you prefer watching or listening to podcasts somewhere else that we're not on, let us know and I can get us posted on there as well to make things easier for you. But yeah, that is everywhere you can find us. Links again in the description and on our channel. So I want to thank everyone so much for sticking around. I want to thank Ferg again for hopping on. And yeah, this has been episode 15 of Hot Fixes and Hot Takes. Thank you guys so much, and we'll catch you in the next one.
Peace.